Hello, everybody. You should hear our voices now. This is Wesley
Hey
from the Central
everybody,
Ohio Game Dev Group. Uh,
and
some,
this is Scott.
so yeah, it's gonna be Scott and I today. So if you know Scott, Scott's a great, COG supporter of our group, as well as Caleb, which you might see him in the chat today, just kind of hanging out today. But yeah, we're gonna have a lot of really cool presentations today, a lot of really good announcements. So right now, I think the biggest thing is just making sure you guys hear audio. It sounds like we've got good. Oh, good. Yes, sweet. Yeah, I think that it's really weird because the music sounds really loud on my end, so sometimes I've had that turned down a bit. So that's just kind of me. But cool. All
It always
right.
feels like the roll of the dice whenever we go live.
I
Is it gonna
know.
work? Is it not gonna work?
Yeah. It's like you test and then it changes and then who knows. So cool. All right. Well, it's good to see everybody. So what we're gonna go ahead and do now is switch it over to Scott and I, and we'll do a couple of announcements and just kind of do some introductions. Really, just kind of get to see everybody. So let me close this so I don't actually click on something. So, all right. Let me see if everybody see us okay. Hello. Welcome to my crazy room. I got all kinds of like persona figures and everything, so it's kind of an artistic shared room since the staying at home and everything. So it's been a lot of fun, just kind of decorating a couple of things here and there. But I also became an art studio too. So yeah, so welcome to the Central Ohio Game Dev Group. It's May 29th. Memorial Day weekend. So everybody that can make it out, really appreciate it. We love doing this. It's a lot of fun kind of going in here. So our Game Dev Meetups are our last Saturday of the month. I'll kind of go through events here in just a sec, just with an overview. But yeah, we're excited to be here. And have the ability to showcase everybody here. So if you do see these events and you do want to showcase something, please let us know. We're really happy to have you. We have a lot of fun doing these and getting a chance to showcase all the work that you've been doing throughout the months. And yeah, so myself, I work by day. I work in e-learning through a company called CineMedia in Dublin, Ohio. We're based out of Columbus, Ohio. Centrally, we have a lot of sister sites as well, which I'll go into later. But I also, by day, that's my thing. I'm kind of a designer, animator, and a bit of programming here and there. Not a whole lot, but there's some. And then by night, I work with COG, helping all you fine folks, and then also, work with Multivarious Games and a lot of other different game developer groups as well. So let me pass it over to Scott. Scott, you can introduce yourself.
I really like your by day by night thing because it
Yeah.
makes us feel like superheroes.
Yeah.
Hopefully not supervillains. That's pretty cool.
Oh, I hope not. I'm secret super
No,
villain,
no.
superhero under disguise.
So yeah, by day, I develop software for the state of Ohio, and by night, just like Wes said, do stuff for the community, plan events, and have been doing game development as a hobby for a very, very long time, longer than I'd like to admit. So and also, you guys know who we are.
Yeah.
You've seen our faces for years and years. Well, hopefully, you've seen our faces for years and years. You guys know who we are.
But if you haven't, definitely let us know in the chat. We're going to be checking that throughout the event today. So if you got any questions or comments or anything we missed, Scott definitely is going to be helping that in while I can help run presentations. But if you're new, let us know. We're going to be having kind of an after presentation event in Discord to get to know one another. So if you're new to us, please let us know. We'd love to get to know you and kind of pinpoint you to all kinds of different resources too. So really excited about that. And looks like, oh yeah, we do have a couple new folks. So welcome. Yeah, good to see everybody. Thanks
Looks
for
like
coming out.
Jeremy. Looks like Jeremy. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Hi, Jeremy. How's it going?
Yeah, so cool. All right. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to switch screens and let me just see if I can do this seamlessly. wonder if my computer's saying no right now. Hold on.
Don't listen to you're the boss,
I'm
Wes.
the
Don't listen
boss.
to your computer.
Listen to me. It's great. All right, so let's go ahead and move over to our news. Or not. Hold on. That's just my stream. I don't know why it changed. All right, give me a sec. It's not listening to me again. That's the one you should see. I li- The funny thing is I literally just tested this, so I don't know why OBS is like, "Hey, you want this?" No, I
We
don't
are
want that.
professionals, folks.
We
We're
are. We're
professionals.
we're doesn't get much better than us, right? Like we're let us know. Now, I mean, if you can't have a mix up every so often, I mean, make fun of yourself a little bit. I mean, what else? What else can you do? So,
That's right.
um, so for those of you who are familiar with us, you may recognize some of these folks in here. So, Cog, has traveled a lot around the Central Ohio area. And one of the staples we've had before we started going mainly online is we do a lot of events at a co-working space called the Idea Foundry. This was actually during one of I think, our global game jams. Or our game jams called Global Game Jam, excuse me, that we have at the beginning of the year. So we got a lot of folks in there. So some of these, might find familiar. So we're a welcoming group of folks, I'd like to say. But we range from, students in high school all the way to, software developers that are, been in the industry for 20 years, just hobbyists to people looking to kind of get their foot in the door into game development. So we welcome everybody. Um, so anything that you're interested in, please let us know. We're going to give you a couple of resources here today to kind of help you get started. But for the most part, we're here to support you. So if you have any questions throughout the event or after the event, we want to help get you in the right position for that. So I'm going to move on. So we are COG, or what we say is the Central Ohio Game Dev Group. We're a collection of game developers who want to help each other make games. We collaborate with a lot of other groups like CCAD, Columbus College of Art and Design, Columbus State, OSU. So those are some of the universities, but we also collaborate with different other groups. There's a group in Cincinnati that, if you're not familiar with the International Game Developer Association, or IGDA, they have a chapter there. Brandon's a really good person to talk to there. They have a Facebook page and a meetup page, so really good bunch of groups. They do a lot of online events too. And then there's the Cleveland Game Dev Group. They have a lot of folks there too. And there's folks in Dayton, there's folks in Youngstown. They're all over Ohio, so there's quite a few. So if you're looking to talk to local folks or just spread yourself out a little bit and get to know other game developers, whether you're in Ohio or not, we welcome you. We would love to get you connected with other folks. I saw a couple of folks looking for different members in our Facebook page, so I'm hoping to send them over to other different resources too. So if there's anything we can do to help get you connected, let us know. We can definitely get you going. Um, so another note, we have our events. We are still all online in June. I know that might be like a big all for some folks, but we talked about it extensively, and I think we're getting there, right? I think that's the biggest thing, is that we're really excited. I mean, things are opening up. I know in Ohio, there's a couple of things like mask mandates being like removed in June. And a couple of stores are opening up and all that good stuff. I think what we're thinking about is like the larger picture in terms of the size of our group and what it could be. Like really what we want to be able to do is, like, when we have our in-person events, we can just say, hey, don't worry about anything, no restrictions, just come as many people as you want, and be good to go. Um, so we always are thinking about keeping everybody safe, and healthy and happy, and just excited to meet each other. And when we do that, we will let you guys and gals know as soon as possible. So, but as of June, we are going to be following the same stay-at-home remote events. But things are looking good. Things are looking good. So, continue to do what you can to keep safe out there. Especially during that Memorial Day weekend, do what you can. But it's looking pretty good. I'll be optimistic. I know, Scott, we were talking about this, like, yeah, just be a little bit optimistic, because I think we need that, right? I think we need that. So, not making any promises yet. We always update these at the end of the month during these game dev meetups. So in June we'll let everybody know what's coming up in July. But it's looking good. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, just kind of wanted to let you know. Prototype and Play is our second Friday of the month event. That's going to be in our Discord channel. There's a Prototype and Play category, and it's got a lot of different channels in that. It's going to be from on June 11th from 6 to 9 p.m. And basically what that does is anybody can come. It's a public server. I think we put our server link in there in the chat. Yeah, Scott did that a little bit further up.
Yep.
And then if you want to present something, say if you got a game in progress or a game finished or anything game dev related, let us know. I help to set those up, but any of us can do that as well. Admins in terms of Scott and Caleb as well. And what we do is we would assign you a named text channel and named uh, voice channel so you can stream your game and also provide resources and links in the text channel and be able to showcase your game all night from 6 to 9 p.m. I mean, you can come and go as you need to. You can jump different channels if you need to. It's pretty organic. It's a way to kind of like get some feedback on your game or project that you're working on, right? It's really important for developers to get feedback on their project as they go because otherwise you're kind of working in a bubble, right? And then by the time you release it, like people are like, "Whoa, have you thought of this? Have you thought of that?" And then you're like, "Oh shoot, like I wish I would have gotten some earlier feedback." So we try to get those out there. This month, we had a really good public event with Shawnee State. We know Marcus Sensi is now a teacher there, and he actually used to work as I think it was like an illustrator, a concept artist for Volition Games, if you're familiar with them. Um, and so he's like now a seasoned veteran. We're teaching at Shawnee State, and he's starting up a bunch of program classes with a couple other folks too. And they had a student body showcasing Poltergeist, which is really cool. They used Parsec, which is a tool that allows you to kind of remote stream and play on somebody else's computer, which people can do. Like I've seen a lot of folks do that. We've got one of our presenters today uses that too, and is a really cool way to have their students showcase their Poltergeist game and talk about like who's their target audience, where the game's like how to what's the gameplay like, showcase like a little trailer of it, and then actually get people playing with it too. It was kind of a neat kind of taper to their student body of work. So we had
Yeah.
probably about I don't know what 30 to 40,
Oh,
maybe 50
that was
people.
a good event. There were 40 plus in that.
Yeah.
I think altogether in that one room. And that was something else that made that one really special. I know I've mentioned this once before, but some of the developers, this was the first time that they were able to play test with players outside of their inner circle, so they got to see the reactions and the enjoyment that the players had firsthand, and the reaction that they had to that was quite magical. It was very special. They were very happy. The enthusiasm was high, and it was a really good experience for everybody.
Yeah, that and yeah, I want to just reiterate this. We do this a lot, but like I want to thank everybody that was able to attend those because it's just as important for us to have like folks that are just interested in supporting each other and playing games. Like we like to create that kind of atmosphere, and to be honest, like COG is, you guys have, you all have been very helpful and supportive. So being able to just be there to play games, like that's just as important as being able to make games and showcases. Kind of cool. It really is cool, but also like for you to be there to support each other and give test back and give feedback. I mean, that's what makes this industry really, really cool is that, it's a really collaborative, supportive environment. So it's like really cool to see like, members from our group also talk to students and give them feedback too. So just want to thank you for that too. So, but yeah, so excited to do this again, June 11th coming up fairly soon, so keep on a lookout for that. And then we have our Let's Play, which is like always online and curated by our great and well-seasoned designer for our Caleb, so he does a Let's Play. Basically, what we do is, give or take about a week and a half out in the Discord channels, and also try to parallel this in Facebook and other social media. Is we'll ask everybody, okay, hey, we're looking for a genre of games in this. So this month was JRPGs, and we did a really cool event with Tales of Symphonia, and we basically streamed the third Sunday of the month from 2 to 4. We just streamed the game, and I was there with Caleb, just kind of breaking down the mechanics of the game and kind of what works, and we're just kind of talking about the genre in general. And that was a lot of fun, just kind of going through the concepts of what makes a JRPG, and just kind of what works with Tales of Symphonia, which is kind of a neat, popular game. So what we do is we set out the theme, what the game genre is, and then you all give us names of what kind of games you would like to see played, and then before the event we do a poll and you all vote for what you wanted, and then that was the one that was voted. And we usually try to get most of them we can in there. Some of them, especially for the JRPGs, we weren't technically able to get all of them in, but we do our best to try to get um, the ones that you guys choose. And then just to kind of preface that with, like, if you all are interested in joining those, let us know. We would love to have the community in there too. So if you want to, like, say, I really like this genre, I'd love to talk more about this. This is my bread and butter. Like, I love, um, I don't know, like, let's just say rhythm games. I don't know what it would be, but I really like those, and we'd love to have you on. So if you ever want to talk about that stuff, let us know. So, but yeah,
Absolutely.
Scott,
And
you
it's
had two.
also
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's also, if you're interested, our Let's Plays are in our COG channel, so you can take a look at our past videos. So we keep them all there. And I wasn't able to make it to this Let's Play, but I watched Wes and Caleb do their breakdown of JRPGs, and it was really good. You guys did a great job. I thought it was really cool. You had some really good conversations on the balance of JRPGs and how to build a or craft a good balance between leveling up and the encounters that you have, or not leveling up too fast, not leveling up too slow, and then having it continually be a challenge. You had some really good conversations on that. So yeah, check it out. We've got it all in our. I think we have a playlist as well for
Oh,
our Let's Play videos, so it's a little easier to find.
yeah, and I just put the link in the chat channel if you want to check it out. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, definitely check those out. So we do a recording of the Let's Plays and a recording of these Game Dev Meetups. So if you don't miss them or you have to bail out a little bit, we'll be here to have the videos up for you to see. Um, so yeah, so great Let's Plays. We'll let you know when we find out the genre of that in our Discord and Facebook, and then we'll be happy to kind of go there. So and then the last thing, obviously, is what we have the event here. So June 26th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. is our Game Dev Meetup, which is the last Saturday of the month. Um, that's basically this. It's kind of like our thermometer check, our catch-up event, and a way for all you to have an opportunity to professionally present in front of a crowd. So if you have something game dev related and you want to give a talk about a game that you worked on or a project you worked on that's game dev related, we'd love to have you. So if you check out our meetup page, it will have all our events, and in the description there's like a Google forum. You fill that out, then let us know. We check that stuff. I check that stuff all the time. So whenever you post there, we'll follow up with you. And when it is in person or on site, we always kind of catch up with you before the event and kind of make sure we do a test call or talk about what you're presenting and just kind of get you prepped and ready so you're feeling pretty good about it. And it's pretty chill. Like it's a lot of fun just kind of getting out there and showcasing your work and getting some feedback, because we'll have presentations and then a Q&A afterwards. So if you all have questions about the talk, we're trying to make that connection. So Yeah, so we'll have announcements, and then afterwards, like today, we'll talk about it. We'll go back into our Discord server, and if you want to talk to us or talk to other, different presenters or other people in the group, get to know one each other, want to get to know one another, excuse me, then that's a great place to kind of catch up with folks too. So we have all our links down here. So our website is thecog.com. We got our Meetup page, Facebook page, Discord, and YouTube channel. So definitely check those out. The COG website has all these links, so if you go there, you should find everything you need to know. Let me go to the next one. So news and events, we have now 1,900 members, which is really awesome. I mean, numbers don't matter. Let's just be frank. Like, it's really cool. I mean, even some of those we've had for a while, but it's just really cool to see us keep growing, even in an online space. So congrats to that. If you do know folks that are interested in game dev, like, just feel free to share us either on Meetup, or on our website. Discord is growing quite a bit too. We got 350, so that's a big jump from last time. So yeah, so it's really cool to see everybody kind of working through all this, and just keep sharing stuff. That's really all we're trying to do is just amplify, game development within the Midwest and within the Central Ohio area. So keep going. So we have continue efforts in YouTube, Discord. Our website is released. If you didn't notice that about 2 months ago, so check that out. We're looking on our next phase of updating that. But if you have thoughts about what we can showcase there, let us know. We'd be happy to kind of promote that. And then in June, obviously, we talked about how we're online. That's kind of a little bit what we just talked about before. But yeah, as soon as we figure out like when we're gonna have our first live event, we'll make it very obvious. So we'll keep you all posted, and then we'll kind of keep moving online until then. So, and then last thing is presentations today. We've got our COG announcements, which we're wrapping up now. And then we've got graciously to our group, Derek. You may know him as Mayo on our Discord channel. He's showcasing Insect Adventure on Steam. You can find all his information on insect-adventure.com. He's got a lot of really good stuff. I mean, this game looks really solid, so I'm excited to kind of see it. We'll do a breakdown here in just a couple of minutes. And then we got Shield, who's also showcasing his new. I was going to put a link there, so sorry about the double colon. But we've got a
I'll drop
link.
I'll drop links in the chat while we're doing the presentations.
Yeah. So what we'll have is he's been working on a game called Sorticorn, but he's also been working on a new tool that is helping him with map creation. So we'll, if you're interested, have you download the link and try it out. It's pretty neat. And then what we'll want to do is kind of grab some screenshots of that, and he'll kind of break down his concepts and all that. So have a lot of fun. And then I always like to do a question of the month. So after we're done with our events, we just do a question, and I just thought it was hilarious what Shield put into the Google Forums. So the question of the month is, if 5 floofs equals 1 poof, how many poofs in a fluffle? Random jargon. So,
Get your algebra hat on.
right, yeah. So just something to think about. This is just icebreaker stuff, but we'll have fun just kind of talking about that or whatever, just catching up. So meet us in the Discord general chat channel afterwards, and we'd love to see you. So, all right. So that's all I've got today for announcements. So we're going to go ahead and cut to it. So let me go ahead and switch back over to us. And if you hear snoring in the background, that is my cat. So sorry about
That's
that. This
hilarious.
is their sleeping time. So, but yeah, I mean I've got 3 cats, so they might pop in and out throughout the event. So we'll see how that goes. But cool. So Scott, you want to see if Derek's ready to go?
Yeah.
We'll
Okay,
get
so
started.
I'll go ahead and move Derek in now.
Cool. And then I'm gonna prime. I've got a video going. Hey Derek,
Howdy.
good to see ya.
Let me.
All right. Ooh, streaming does some weird stuff sometimes. My cursor was gone. I was like, where'd my cursor go? Okay, cool. All right. So want to welcome Derek, or like I said, Mayo in Discord. He just released their game Insect Adventure on Steam, and he's actually you're. So, are you part of a specific? There's one thing I wanted to ask you before, but you can kind of let us know here. But you're part of the like Michigan Game Dev group in some instance, because I know that you showcased this a little bit there too. So, you want to talk a little bit about your background, what you do, and just kind of what got you into making a game like this.
It was something I wanted to do for almost as long as I could remember. Uh, the characters I came up with for Insect Adventure have been like little doodles on the back of like my math homework since I was 10 years old.
Cool.
And I've made like little projects when I was a teenager, but I hadn't really gotten serious into game development until I don't know, a few years ago, around my college years, towards the end of that. And Insect Adventure as it is now, it took about 5 years to complete.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, that's not uncommon, especially if because do you had well, I'm gonna get into more conversations here in a sec. What I'd like to do first is showcase your trailer. And then we'll go into your gameplay, and then we'll talk more about, like, if we got time, we'll talk more about your background, because I'd love to really. I've got some questions I'd like to ask, but definitely let's kind of get into the cool like trailer that you sent over. I'll share that, and then we'll go into your streamed live play, and then we'll get together and do some subtle Q&A. So let me go ahead and get this ready. And then we'll share that. All right. And let me. Oh, hold on. Forgot I need to do that. Boop. Mine the infinity wheel. Okay. Do you guys see all that? I know it was like a lot of crazy stuff. I'm still getting
Ah.
used to it. Do you guys see the beginning of the video? This says streaming still running on mine. Do you see that, Scott? I know you probably
No,
don't.
you're
My side, I do.
supposed to go into screen, and then in the applications menu, you scroll down to like your YouTube, and then you click on that, and you'll be able to get the audio from that. Yesterday, not yesterday,
Oh,
Tuesday.
okay. Let me
Yeah.
do that instead. Boop. Let's try that one.
Hmm.
See that. Do you see something now?
Waiting for it.
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome. Oh, now it says your stream still.
Yeah, it went away.
Oh.
Oh, you're supposed to click out of Discord, I believe.
Oh, so do you not see anything anymore?
No.
Not on YouTube.
We had this running, I thought. Yeah, that's why I like. Here, hold on. Technicals. Oh, and I just pressed
We
the wrong
need
thing.
intermission music
I
while we do
know.
this. Bear with us, everybody.
All right, let's try this again.
There we go. Oh,
Let's try.
I was just about to. I agree with Caleb. Can you just put it on straight on OBS?
Uh, yes. I'm gonna have to make that real quick, but I can.
I could stream it.
Computers are stupid.
I know.
Yeah. It is definitely all computers' fault.
Well, and that's the funny thing is we
Definitely.
just tested this a second ago, so I'm just like, ugh. Yeah. So when I stream it, it causes it to say still streaming on the live feed, right?
Correct. Yeah. I think
Okay.
you're gonna have to go straight to OBS.
Okay. Well, so if I'm on OBS, I need to add a new. This is where I get
Yep.
display capture, website, web capture. How do I do it? I always forget which one's which. Let's do window capture.
Window capture. Yep.
Okay, and then I know.
No, I'm laughing because Caleb is in the chat directing us what to do.
Okay, let's
I
do
think it's fun.
this. All right. Okay. See if that works. Do you guys see it now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm gonna
Put it
rewind
in
it.
theater mode or put it in theater mode or something like that.
we're all learning here.
Yes. Oh, that looks good. That looks good. Do it. Nice.
Oh, yep. It's delayed, so I was following your instructions delayed. So let me go ahead and play it and see if we can hear audio. Stop me if you don't.
Okay, you're good.
I hear. That took a surprisingly long amount of time to get that shot where I reflect the rock with the camera to get it just right.
Cool.
That is awesome.
I love the music, by the way.
Thanks.
All right, now I'm going to turn that off. So we are.
The
Oh,
game was made with Click
oops.
Team Fusion, but I made a custom engine just to edit the levels.
All right. Boop. Boop. All right. Sorry about that. Advertisements just came in. So.
Yeah.
It's a never ending of things going. Anyways, sorry. Go ahead. So you were talking about kind of like how it was challenging to get some of those shots right.
Another thing was the getting the item collections to match up with the music.
Oh,
That was like an
yeah,
idea I got in the middle of it. I didn't even plan it when I was like coming up with footage. Yeah, it took a lot of. It wasn't really like different takes, but just like trying to fit all the stuff to make noise at the correct times.
yeah. I mean, it definitely. I think watching it drive momentum was really kind of cool. They try to do that like in AAA title game trailers too. Like got someone punching, punching, punching with the music. Like it does help,
Hmm.
and the music is pretty cool. I think so. I appreciate it for sure. So yeah, good work. And um, let me see if I've got. I'll probably send over that trailer later. But what I want to do is give you a chance to kind of showcase some of the gameplay. So when you're ready, let's go into hopefully a technical fiasco-free stream from your end. It'll probably be a lot easier because this is just all in Discord. So I just have to make sure I click on the stream. So
The image looked good.
uh, looks fine. Yep.
Is audio playing well?
Yeah. Are you able to check that out, Scott? I know you got a couple seconds behind, but
Yep. I'm gonna look at it.
yeah.
Gonna check.
All right, are we good to go then?
Yeah, you got audio. You're good. Go
Okay.
for it.
Cool. We'll do this.
All right.
Love the animations too, by the way.
animated text. Yeah, I
Yeah.
drew that all myself, and honestly, I'd say it was one of the biggest mistakes I made in this game, just because of the sheer amount of effort.
Yeah. I bet.
Oh, really?
But it looks great. It
It
looks really
looks really
cool.
good though.
Yeah. All right. So, how should I start? Uh, yeah, like I said, I spent about 5 years working on this game, and it was based off of characters I drew when I was like 10 years old.
So,
Combat is based off of beat 'em up games. I wanted to do something that was a little bit more advanced than what I seen in like the Castlevania games I seen on GBA. A lot of the power-ups are inspired off of like Metroid and Zelda, Castlevania, stuff like that. And I want to say the goal of this game wasn't necessarily be the most original game, but to do what it does. The game is really vast with like 300 different realms
Oh
and
wow.
have like
oh, look at that.
complicated tunnels and loops and stuff like that going around everywhere. I also wanted to plan with sequence, or I also wanted like sequence breaking to be, I wanted it to be designed with sequence breaking in mind.
And for those who aren't familiar with Metrovania games or whatnot, what does sequel break concepts mean? Like,
Sequence breaking?
yes, sorry,
Well,
excuse me, sequence breaking.
sequence breaking is basically the act playing through, like when you play through, like say a Zelda game, you get like, you have like a certain way you go through it. You like go through a forest temple first, a fire temple, a water temple, stuff like that. But when you sequence break, you use the game systems to your advantage to just do whatever the heck you want. Like do the water temple first and then go back and do the forest temple. When you have the stuff from the water temple, it makes the forest temple easier than intended. I
Mhm.
really love that kind of emergent gameplay. Uh, one of the tricks you can do is to slide off an edge here and then get an extra jump. This is definitely based off Donkey Kong Country. I'm gonna see if I
Oh
can
yeah.
jump over this lava pit. I
Whoops.
guess not.
Oh my
And also
goodness.
I died. Okay. Uh, let's see what else I got from my notes.
Nice
Uh,
trick on the camera zoom in larger, more complex areas. That's a subtle.
yeah,
That's a subtle trick. That's kind of neat.
thank you. It took a lot of work. At first, I did like a dynamic thing where it's like based on how high up the ceiling is over Bugsy's head. And then that really didn't work. It kept jumping in and out and kind of gave you a
Mm.
sense of motion sickness.
Yeah.
And eventually the solution had to be that I just had to tailor and make like how far zoomed in everything was in every part of the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you had to do it trigger based, where certain areas, when you get into a certain trigger, it would zoom out a little bit. Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
I would say this guy's a kind of a mini boss.
Yeah, looks like.
And when you play in the higher difficulties, like one of the things I wanted to do for enemies was make it like Gnome, where that I could just put 20 of them and the game still feels kind of right. So like in the higher difficulties, you'd fight like two or three of those guys at once. It gets really hectic. A lot of like doing quick attacks and then dodging, and in a sense, it kind of reminded me of Bayonetta.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
right
those
now, I
are
just got the like,
cool.
grapple ability, which went through like
Yeah,
several iterations
that's
because
Oh,
cool.
that's
it
really
just
cool.
was really glitchy. Yeah,
I mean,
there's a lot of
I really appreciate either the custom or dynamic animations, like the like subtle uh silhouetting of the character as you swing is really, I mean, those things are really are a nice polish to everything you're seeing, because it's I mean, I really enjoy the fast pace. It reminds me of, like, I mean, I always thought it was fun in like Sonic that you could like just speed through an entire level. It's really kind of
Yeah.
cool to see that come into fruition here.
People have compared this to Sonic, which is why in this file I decided to get the wall running. Oh wait, I don't have the wall running yet. Never mind. There is a wall running ability, and there's also a Metroid style speed booster, and they synergize really well with each other. Like a couple of puzzles where you just have to run up a wall repetitively until you charge a speed boost, and then bounce off the wall and run through a bunch of blocks.
Wow.
This room is basically like a tutorial kind of area for the grapple hook. And when you get to the top of this, you're rewarded with an item,
Okay.
augmentation syringe. And what they do is give you points to equip augments, which is like optional enhancements. Like the leaf collector augment lets enemies drop leaves more often. I don't really have many to show off, but it's basically like the badges in Paper Mario or the notches in Hollow Knight.
Somebody was asking, what game engine did you use for this, or did you build it from the ground up?
I was using ClickTeam Fusion, and then level editor I also made from ClickTeam Fusion, but it's more or less just like an extra tool I made to get around some ClickTeam Fusion shortcomings.
Okay. What language did you use for that, if you don't mind me asking?
ClickTeam Fusion is like GameMaker at has its own proprietary language, and it's using drag and drop as well.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple of folks use that. This is pretty impressive. Sometimes they get stuck, right? You just talk about some of the shortcomings. But, you know, it's the funny thing is, like, no matter what engine, there's always going to be something that you're like, ah, man, this functionality is broken. I gotta do a soft patch just to make sure it doesn't break or whatever. I mean, there's plenty of times I've seen...
I've seen somebody make a piece of art that's on a level of Mona Lisa using MS Paint.
Oh, nice.
And from that moment on, I believed you could do anything with anything.
Oh, yeah.
And here's another mini boss.
I guess that gives me another question. So, how did you create the graphics for this? Was it MS Paint or was it something? I mean, obviously, probably not, but.
Like when I first started, I wasn't really that good art, or at least compared to now. And ClickTeam Fusion does have an image editor, but it's basically just MS Paint with a couple of quirks to it.
Yeah.
And then when I got better, I switched to this pixel art program called Sprite.
Oh, okay.
It's like Sprite. Yeah. And then I also use a program called Medibang, a free tablet drawing program to do some of the more impressive art stuff like the cutscenes.
Okay.
It's also very consistent, and the color palettes are consistent and very colorful. Nice and bright.
Thank you. That was like something late in development. Like, I was actually watching a Twitch streamer play Super Metroid Hex, and he was complaining about the contrast, and he was talking about the importance of that. And I was like, you know, I should go look at the tile sets and stuff in this game and see what I can do.
There you go, yeah.
And then at first I was like, it's not going to look that good because I just like changed the contrast in the images. And then now after I gotten a few months used to this and I look at the old graphics, I was like, man, this is way better. But yeah, I would say if I were going to give advice, one of the most important things in game design is to make sure your visuals are consistent and have good conveyance. Bugsy's bright green, and it's it actually made sure to make his shade of green pretty unique across the whole game, so you can always tell like this green dot that you're controlling in the center of the screen is you.
Yeah, I was gonna say even the yellow, yeah, is pretty prominent of the
Yeah,
hammer.
the hammer as well. Yeah. Yes, you can juggle enemies in this game.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
And of
I
course,
need
secret.
to remember not to show all the secrets I game to people when I'm demonstrating.
Oh, cool.
Okay. One other important lesson I learned was from a GDC video. By the way, if you guys never heard of GDC, it's like TED Talks for game developers.
Yeah.
And one of the most important things I learned from one of the GDC videos is to never have a 0% day. Meaning, if you can get through a day, and even if you're really tired after work, if you could just do one thing like write 10 lines of code, shade one sprite, that's not 0%. You've made progress in that game. You pat yourself on the back.
It's good advice. I mean, it's, you're like, oh, I can spend X amount of time on this, but there's sometimes like just things get in the way. But you'd be surprised, especially like over a long period of time, how much that really makes an effect. That's
Yeah,
that's a really cool boss.
Find that if you spend your days doing like 0.01% days, you're more likely to do like 60% days, percentages.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Is there any other questions?
Let me see. Looking through the text right now. You got one of your playtesters in here, C Punk and Saya. That's really cool.
Yeah. If I recall correctly, he's actually working on a French localization for this game.
Oh,
And
cool.
Oh,
like
really? That's great.
why I said that it's a really grueling thing to like make up your own font and draw by hand. Because you gotta like consider different languages and stuff.
Yeah.
Although researching localization has been one of the most fun things I've been doing.
There's a lot of tools out there nowadays, so it's like
Yeah.
kind of neat to see the different approaches. So yeah, I
I
guess
do not have healing items. This is tense. Sorry.
you're good.
Gotta concentrate.
Are we allowed to swear?
No.
As long as I mean, so what we usually say is if it's something you wouldn't say to your grandmother, probably don't say it here. It's not like the end of the world. I think it's like being prepared for it or whatever. But
You can say shucks and fiddlesticks.
yeah.
I was gonna say actually never mind. Well,
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
thank you. I guess I can move on to marketing. And
Yeah.
what I've been doing for marketing so far is just going on Twitch and YouTube and Google, typing in just stuff like Metroidvania or people like indie games, stuff like that. It could be pretty hard, but I put my game up on Steam, and I guess I should say, if you are looking to publish a game on Steam, you need to look for a website called Steamworks and then get signed up there. And when you do, and you have like a game put out, they have a program called the Steam Curator program, and there you could find a lot of people, but I would say the people you should look for the most are ones that actually bother to show up how many followers they have on YouTube. YouTube seems to be the place where most of the sales of the game, like most of the attraction of the game, comes from.
Yeah, and I would also, so just to kind of give a time reference, how long has this game been live on Steam as a sale?
It got released in May 17th. I
Okay.
Just
had
May.
a demo up last October.
Yeah, so it's just starting off. So yeah, so what was your main goal releasing it on Steam? Like, what made you want to do that rather than like posting it on like say a different free site like itch.io or GameJolt or even like a console, um, or even I mean with this I don't know if you could do a mobile app, but like what made you want to like push it on Steam if you did have like a concept of what you wanted to do with that?
Mostly because that was the first place I heard of, but the game does also have an itch.io page. I could link right now.
That'd be
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
It, what kind of version of game is that? Is that like a demo vertical slice or
It's a full game, as well as
full
the
game
same
version?
demo.
Okay, cool.
It
Sweet.
also looks like I'm on your Steam page now. It looks like you also have a demo available on Steam as well.
Yes.
Cool.
The demo has a lot of the same content as the final game. Code wise, it's not like 100% up to date, but it should give you a good enough idea of the game. And also, it contains the first couple areas, the first couple bosses, and ends on a cliffhanger.
Oh, gotcha. Nice. And the soundtrack too, which I
Yes.
was I was really liking the music, so the
Yeah.
soundtrack is up there too.
Well,
Nice.
Yeah, the
that
composer is a guy named Paradoxygen, who is also working on a game called Oddity, at least
okay.
as far as I last knew.
Yeah, it's really solid. I guess that's my other question. So, what aspects of this game did you work on? Because it sounded like you were working on most of it. Sounds like you got another person working on localization. You got a play tester. You have a musician. So, what parts of this game did you work on, and what other parts maybe did you outsource to? Just to kind of think of a body of work.
I guess to put it bluntly, the stuff I worked on is literally everything else.
Okay,
All the graphics, all the coding, the sound effects I downloaded from a
I gotta get it.
free
Sorry.
sound effect website that you could just Google.
Cool.
Actually, I could link that as well because I think the website it's called freesound.org.
Yep.
And the most important thing for me is that it shows you exactly the copyright for each of the sounds that's uploaded, so you know exactly what you're getting into. And I would say, like, is uh, attribution copyright is going to get you better sounds than like no copyright, and all you have to do is just add the person's name in your credits. But yeah, I didn't really pay attention to that when I first started. So when I ended
Mm,
up with the game about to release and I was thinking about copyright, I was like, man, now I gotta look through all these sound effects and yeah.
yep.
uh
Especially
you
when
just
you're
gotta like keep track of every single thing you use that isn't 100% made by you.
yeah, especially when we're building a demo, right? We all tend to just grab really quick resources that we can find just to get something playable on screen to see if we can answer the questions of like, is this fun? Something like that. And then we continue to build and then look back and it's like, oh, wait, yeah, that's a resource that is copyrighted and it's not free. I have to change that.
To redraw
It,
it from scratch.
and you have to
Yeah.
redraw it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
It
sneaks up on you.
I will definitely say like keeping track of this stuff early is gonna just save you time in the end because you may get to a point where it's like okay you go back to it and that website isn't even there anymore. Um,
Yeah.
whether that's images, audio, or even fonts, like those things get kind of messy later because you're just like shoot what was that called? Where did I find that? So I always try to make a habit of copying that down even if it's just a notepad like hey this is where I got this from. so I have a paper
Yeah.
trail.
Yeah, actually, one of the goals I had for the game is to get it as widespread as I can. And I have it on Steam and itch.io, but I also submitted it to GOG and
Okay.
Epic Game, and I'm still waiting on a confirmation from them.
Yeah, I mean, and I could see this if it works out well, like localizing it for even a console, like if it's on Switch or something like that, would be kind of cool. But what
Yeah,
are the
I was
controllers
thinking,
like? Sorry,
huh?
I was just gonna say, what are the controllers like? Are they so they're keyboard and mouse, but are they mainly for well, I mean, I say keyboard and mouse, but are they mainly for also like a regular handheld controller too, or?
Yeah, actually, I was using a Xbox One controller.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I
That's good. I think for
there's
the
a
gameplay,
That's like
this
another
screams for a
thing.
controller.
It's another system that was really complicated in the game. It ended up being just having customizable controls, but I think it's a must for anything. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I would say that though one of the things on Click Team Fusion that can be a hassle is that the proprietary extension to allow it joystick input doesn't allow for all controllers, and there seems to be no way around that at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, is that for like a Steam functionality? Is that right? Or are you just talking about just in general with Click
I mean,
Fusion?
it's like hard coded in the controller support. I had to use
Yeah,
like an extension that's in the program. When I have it in the program, it's like usable from the exe in any sort of context.
gotcha. Yeah, I know that sometimes that's hard to get synced just right. Yeah, it's just you figure, oh, hey, all this stuff is pretty easy, right? Well, not necessarily. Especially when you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking about what is the ocean of players out there, like that what they have. Because if you're like, hey, some people have PlayStation controllers, some people have Xbox controllers. I mean, I just have a Logitech controller. Like, and sometimes you don't even find that out till later, right? Like when you've got it up on Steam and people are playing, like, I can't play this at all. You're like, oh shoot, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember,
Getting controls right is definitely the first thing you should do in a game.
yeah, for sure. Because I mean, especially if you do all that hard work and only 5% of the people out there can play it, then it's like, what do you do? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so far, yeah, this looks pretty cool. So what's your goal, and or if you want to talk about how you're doing, for the next say couple months to a year? What's your thoughts in terms of what you're doing? Because it sounds like right now you're just looking to get people to play your game on YouTube and get it out there. Are there any other milestones that you're looking to achieve, within the next couple of months to a year?
Yeah, I want to get expansion or two out for the game as well, like how it says in the menu load campaign. Right now, there's just the main game,
Okay.
but I also want to add a boss rush and a pit of 100 trials kind of mode.
Ooh, that'd be
And
cool.
I'm also planning on having an extra character to be playable with their own gameplay style. And then after all that's done, I was going to put it on the Switch or whatever the newest Nintendo platform is going to be if it's at that time. That's going to be like my final ultimate goal for the game.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be cool. So, sweet.
So, I guess we're done. We're going to move on to Shield Generator.
Yep. Scott, did you see any other questions? The chats?
I I do not. Just a lot of comments on this game looks amazing, really good work.
It does.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
that's why I was
Oh,
excited that you wanted
hearing.
to showcase because it looks really cool. So,
it
and
is
I got a
very
copy
cool
of it.
looking.
So
I'm
and
getting
I
a copy of it right now.
yeah, I was gonna say like I got a copy. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions, I don't know if you're gonna stay around later, Derek, or not. But um, if you do, we'll be in the Discord chat channel later. But also, like, he's at MAYO, so if you want to talk to him about any questions you might have, let him know. And then we also have,
Um,
uh,
you're going to say that. I'm going to drop my Discord.
oh, yes.
Yeah, do it.
It'll have links to the game as well as the general chat where you can talk to me through that, see my Discord and all that stuff.
Yeah. If you want to put that in the presenter chat, Scott, would you be able to post that in the
Oh,
YouTube?
I just posted on YouTube
Oh,
myself.
oh, you did? Oh, cool. Sweet. Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
cool. I think that about wraps it up. So great work. Looks really awesome. And keep us posted on your updates. And yeah, if we have any other questions, we'll let you know. Um, but yeah, if there's anything else that you want to talk about later, we'll be in Discord as well, or on YouTube channel. But yeah, let's just kind of move on to the next one. So, do you have
Okay.
anything else,
All right.
Scott?
No, just wanted to encourage people to join us on Discord. If you have any questions, feel free to put them into the chat. We'll try to push them through. But yeah, join us. Definitely join us on Discord. Shield is not ready at the moment.
Oh, he's
Oh, no,
not?
actually, no. He's ready. He's ready. All
Okay.
right, so I'm gonna switch everybody over.
Okay.
And thank you very much, Derek. I'll bring Shield in.
Yep. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
All right, going to move this over. Bear with me.
Yeah, and that kind of reminds me, we do our best. We get a lot of stuff in Discord, but if you have a game that you're releasing and or marketing and know you're going to release soon, let us know and we'll do our best to kind of promote it. Right? We love doing
Absolutely.
that. So if you have a game that you know is going to be in release within a month, couple of weeks, let us know and we'll try to help amplify that with you because we know how much it's important to get that drive out there. So let us know if you are working on something and releasing it. So cool. Welcome, Shield. Good to see you
Hi,
again. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so if you don't know Shield, he's been with us for quite a while, and he's been actually a lot of like pretty active in our remote versions because he had been in our on-site meetings too. Uh, haven't been able to make it just because of distance, but for the most part, it's been really pleasant to have you on doing a couple different things. So what I want to do is not take up your time in talking about what we're presenting today, but could you talk a little bit about what we're gonna see and a little bit about yourself for those who are new?
Yes, so I'm still January 7. I've been here for about 5 years. I started coming to COG because of Global Game Jam, which is awesome, by the way. And yeah, I've been programming for over 10 years or so, and I would do that every day, all day, if I could, if I didn't have to do anything else. Um, So probably most people know me for the game Stone Accord that I'm still working on. I released a yearly build the other month, and I'm currently working on a side project. So the side project, that's nothing. I work on side projects all the time, but this side project is different because it is actually related to my main game, which is new. So let me bring up my PowerPoint here and share my screen. So this talk is going to be a little bit different because most talks presenters say, "Hey, listen to my talk and then play my game." I'm going to say, "Play my game and then listen to my talk," because there's a very good reason for that, and you'll see why soon.
Cool. I think we got you.
So this is um, an idle incremental game. I'm not sure what to call it yet, but there should be a link in the chat if you want to download and play it. And then at the end of my talk, you can all post your screenshots, and then I'll look through the screenshots and see like what kind of worlds you guys built. So there's very limited options in the game so far because it's like only a month old, but uh, yeah, there's a lot of waiting involved. So that's why I'm saying start playing it now. So this is a game that was inspired by Sonocore and tons of other things. So why am I making this game and not my? Why am I working on this one and not my main game? So that's like the first thing we're going to talk about is the history, and then we're going to talk about how I actually made the game and like all the technical stuff that went into building it the way that it is. So Sonocorn, as you is the main game that I'm working on, and it's a Metroidvania 2D platformer, and it has this huge round world, which is very unique for Metroidvania games because they usually have gravity always points the same direction. For this game, the gravity points a different directions depending on where you are in the world. So here it points in this direction, and over here it points in this direction towards the core. So I made all of this with sprite shape. So a lot of games are tile based, and you can't really do radial gravity like this with tiles because they just don't work. So I had to use something else, and I chose to use sprite shape, which is basically allows you to take a polygon and change its shape. So I can take a square and click and drag on its vertices to change it into like a rhombus, and click on the edge to make it into a pentagon, that kind of thing. And then you can stretch and skew it like a whole bunch of different ways. So you end up with shapes like these and like these over here, all kinds of weird shapes. So I was thinking when I was working with sprite shape, I was thinking, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you could mess around with the shape in the game? So basically, it would be a dig ability where you could dig a hole through the world and change it that way. I was like, hey, that'd be pretty cool. I wonder how I would do that. And then I started thinking about the other feature in Sonocorn, which is time rewinding, and that basically means that I have to save all of the individual points of all the polygons of all the terrains, and that would be really time consuming for the processor. And I'm already using up a lot of resources in the game for other reasons. Like every object in the game has its position and stuff saved, and it's like a few data points here and there. But for the sprite shape terrains, it would be all of that plus each individual point, all that polygon. And some of these curves and stuff have like several different points.
Yeah.
So it would be like a massive undertaking to do the digability with the way the current game currently is. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just think about that later. I'm not going to work on a digability, but I'll keep it in the back burner, like in the back of my mind. So then later in development, Ori and the Blind Forest came out. That started giving inspiration working on Sonocore, and then Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and then Hollow Knight, and then somewhere along that line, people started speedrunning Hollow Knight, and which is no surprise. But then they did something very weird that I've never seen anyone do before. They did a Hollow Knight 1 versus 4 speedrun. So all these guys on the screen right here, they are speedrunners. Every single one of them. And Fireborn is trying to get to the end of the game. He's trying to speedrun the game as fast as he can. And all these other guys here, they're trying to stop him from beating the game. And it was a very interesting video to watch. And I thought, hey, I don't know how they got the networking to work in a game that was single player, but they figured it out somehow. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. They have a multiplayer Hollow Knight. So it got me thinking, okay, so what if there was a multiplayer Sonocorn? So I was thinking about like, yeah, that would be pretty cool, but then they couldn't have time rewind because time rewind in a multiplayer game is really weird for the players who aren't controlling the time rewind. Like even Overwatch has a time rewinding character that only rewinds time for herself because if she did it for everybody, it'd just be weird. So I say, okay, well, if I have a multiplayer Sonocorn game, they don't have to have time rewind. Therefore, I can bring back the dig ability, and have players mess around with the terrain shapes and stuff in the game, and that would be pretty cool. So you could basically have a game where like people build up a planet from scratch or something together. But then I thought, like the floor to get an actual game that works and is somewhat playable for a multiplayer game like that would be a lot of work, and I just don't have the resources to do that right now. So I was like, okay, I'll put that on the back burner too. And then later I played a game called Home Quest. So this game reminded me a lot of Candy Box 2, which is an incremental game. So basically, this is like screenshots from like later in the game. But basically, you start off with stone and wood, and you get the resources to build buildings and build a town. And then you use the town to build buildings that let you get an army. And so with the army, you could go to other places to defeat goblins and wizards and that kind of thing. And then you could get more resource types that allow you to build more towns and more different kinds of buildings, allow you to get more armies, and so on and so forth in this loop. And as the game progresses, you get more resource types, more building types, more troop types, and it's all really cool because it builds up incrementally. And you don't know what's coming next, but you know that something coming next is really cool. And I thought, this is a really cool game. I really enjoyed this. I could make a game like this. And look at this. It's like basically ASCII characters and like some CSS and text and stuff like that. And I was like, oh yeah, this is totally something I could do within a month or some time like that. And I was like, okay, but I don't want it to like be an exact copy of it. I want to make it my own thing. So what kind of thing could I do that would be like this, but not it's copying it? And I decided I'm going to make Stonecorn World. And because it's related to my other game, and one thing that I wanted to do with it is I wanted to explain how the world is the way it is. Like, there's going to be like gameplay purposes for each level and story purposes for each level, but I also want it to be a lore purpose. Like, without the gameplay or the story, you could look at the world and say, okay, this area is here because this and that reason. Like, why is the world not just all greenery with grass and dirt and stuff like that? Like, why is some of it deserts? Why is some of it icelands and stuff like that? And it's like, okay, I want to explore like why that is the way it is, and I'm going to make a game that shows the mechanical purposes of each individual area and what they do. So I was thinking about revisiting the multiplayer Stone Accord, but instead of making it multiplayer, it's a single player game, but you control the Stone Accords, what they do and how they build the planet. And instead of having it be the way you change the terrain and stuff like that with this sprite shape, it's going to be grid based, so that it's easier to work with. It's easier to visualize the controls and stuff like that. So I'm basically turning the multiplayer Stone Accord idea into an idle incremental game. Add in lore elements, yep. And then if by like expanding, making a world in this game, I can determine like, okay, look, if this works and that works, but this doesn't work, and then I could like make it a giant planet in this game, and be like, okay, this is like an idea for like how you could build a planet in this game. So that could also be like a template for how you would build it in Sonocorn. So I could use this other side project game to help me make world decisions about the original game that I was making it for. Because even though they've given game mechanics, they're still in the same universe. They abide by the same rules. So that's why I made Stonecorn World. Now I'm going to talk about how I made it. So, as you can see, that is a grid-based game with hexagon grids. And hexagon grids I chose because I wanted to make the planet round. And I felt that square grids led too much to square creations. I know you can make round things in square grids, but I felt if I make square grids, then people would tend to make square planets like in Minecraft, and I didn't want that. So I was like, okay, hexagon grids are round enough. Like even if you can see that's mostly a hexagon here, but it's still kind of rounder. It's rounder than a square is. So that's why I chose hexagons. Now that presents its own set of problems because Unity uses a square-based grid system, right? So how do you turn the square-based grid system into the hex grid system? And how do you turn the hex grid system into the square-based system? So for that, I found a very handy resource. I am luckily not the first person to think about this. And there's this one guy who's like, he said like 25 years. Yeah, 25 years he's been thinking about hexagon grids. So he made this whole comprehensive guide about how to do it. And I am so thankful for this. This has saved me a ton of time in writing algorithms and stuff. Wow. So what I didn't realize going into it is that there's tons of different ways to translate the hexagons into the squares and vice versa. So here he talks about coordinate systems. So how do you turn a hexagon into a square? So the obvious answer is to do something like this, where like one of the rows. See, how do I turn it to the other way? Okay, I'm talking about these ones because this is how my hexagons are oriented. So you have like columns here, and this column 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you do column base, and then you do it kind of row base, where you go back and forth like this, and this works. But as I found out by reading this page, is that it doesn't work for everything because there's all algorithms that you can't do with this system. I mean, you can do them, but they're really hard and not very scalable. So it's like, okay, well, what do you recommend? Web page, and they recommend cube coordinates. So you can see that a hexagon kind of looks like a cube, and you can switch between hexagons and cubes, and you take all the cubes away. You can see that the hexagon kind of does look like a cube. So basically, what they're saying is that any kind of math, like vector math, you can do in 3D space, you can also do in hexagon coordinates, with the limitation being that x plus y plus z equals 0. So there's some coordinates in hexagon space that you can do. Wait, there's some coordinates in the cube space you can do that aren't applicable in hexagon space. So how does this work exactly? So you have an x-axis, you have a y-axis, and you have a z-axis, and then you do integer numbers. So because it's a grid and not like a continuous space, these are integers. Like you can, like a chess has a grid and they're integers because there's like 0 through 8. But like Euclidean space has infinite like floats and stuff. But we're talking about grids, so we're using integers. So x is these guys, right? I always get this confused. X is the columns here. So -3, -2, -1, 0, +1, +2, +3. So these are the x in the x direction. And z goes like this. So 0, -1, -2, -3, 0, 1, 2, 3. And then y goes like this. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, and then 0, -1, -2, -3, like that. That still confuses me every now and then, but I figured it out enough to get the algorithms working.
So the numbers are based on the color that are represented. So like the green, the magenta, and the blue are like X, Y, and Z. Yeah, I do see that now. Yep, right at the origin. Huh.
Yeah. So because they all have to equal, and they all have to add up to equal 0, that means that one number is going to be the biggest number, and then the other numbers add up to that number in the opposite direction. So, for example, over here, you see that x is 3, and y is -1, -2, and -1 plus -2 is -3, which is the complete opposite of +3. So there's some exceptions over here, but you could also say this is +1, and -1 plus 0 is -1, so they add up together. But like which one is the major one doesn't really matter. But yeah, so that's the rule that gets applied there.
That's really cool.
So using all of these algorithms in this website here, I was able to make this class, which is a hexagon utility, which is written in C#, because all their code is written in pseudocode, so you gotta translate it to C# and stuff. So yeah, that was pretty cool. But there is my game isn't just grid based. It has some other things that it does that are a little bit more complicated. So I'm going to boot up a game here, and this is a world in progress. I'm going to delete that save and start over. So you see, it's a regular grid-based system, right? Well, just like Stone Accord, it has radial gravity. So this gravity points on this direction, and this gravity points in this direction. Here it points to this direction, and so on and so forth for the other directions. So it's all been fine for this first layer here because it has direct line to the core. And this one over here, it also has a direct line to the core. Same with this one. So you can definitely tell which direction gravity is supposed to point. But over here, which direction does gravity point? So if it pointed this direction, then it might be really weird because of the grid-based system. Like, would it be rotated weirdly? So the gravity would point here or here because you have to think about the ground position, because you want the ground of this guy to be flat. You don't want it to be curved. So would this be the ground, or would this be the ground? Let me scale this up a bit.
Oh, as in terms
So
of
automatically zoom.
the side of the shape face, right? So it wouldn't be at the corner. It would be either at the side,
Yeah.
the top
So this
left or bottom right of that
right, the
face.
top left or the bottom right. So first of all, which one do you think it is?
It's probably the top left because that maybe I guess it just depends. But that's what I would
That is
say.
actually a very good guess. It actually is the top left. And in this case, it's rather arbitrary.
Okay.
Because it could be either one of them. But yes, it happened to be that one.
What
So that means that this guy's gravity points in this direction and not in this direction. So it's kind of like not completely radial, but it's as radial it is for this hexagon grid. And I know that I'm taking some creative liberties with the rules of the game because it's not exactly how it would work in Sonocorn. But the other question is like, what happens if you get over here? So this guy's gravity used to point in this direction, which was really weird because you can see that this guy right here should be the ground position because in Euclidean space, this guy is closer distance-wise and this guy is to the center. But the algorithm was always doing this one. So I had to come up with a new algorithm to do that. And the algorithm that I have now is still not quite perfect, but it's better. It determines that this guy is the gravity space, as you can see here, because it's pointing in this direction. So I have to determine what the ground position is in order to determine what the gravity direction is. So I have an algorithm here that does that. So what I discovered is when I'm looking at this grid is that if I am right here, then the two possibilities for the ground are like one number away from each other. So if I reduce the absolute value of these numbers, then I could get a result. So -1 becomes 0, -1 becomes 0, and 2 becomes 1. But then you realize that there's no grid position of 0, 0, 1. So what I had to do is I had to pick which one would be 0, which one would stay the same. And there's a way that I do that, but it's not important for right now. But what's really important is like this guy right here, it had to be this one and not this one, even though like it'd be like basically the same. Because in the grid position world, even though this one's closer to the core, with the integer with the hexagon grid, this guy is 2 grids away, and this guy is also 2 grid spaces away. So they're kind of even. Like to the algorithm was even. So I decided that well, this guy doesn't make any sense. It would be this guy. And the main difference I noticed between them all was that this guy has a 0 in one of its spots, and this guy does not have a 0. So the algorithm says, okay, if the original position does not have a 0, and one of the ground positions does have a 0, then that position is not considered to be part of the ground. So this guy is the only other option. So we're going to go for them. So we do -3 minus reduced to -2, and then 2 reduced to 1, and then this one stays the same. And that's how we get the ground positions like we do here to be what they are. Now I'm going to zoom out here. So that's how I'm doing the grid system.
It's really
and
cool.
one other so I have 2 other things to explain. So the thing about Home Quest and Candy Box 2 is that they both are incremental in that they don't provide you all the options right up front. And Candy Box 2 more so because they don't even tell you what the game is at the beginning, whereas like games like Home Quest, like you know what the game is at the beginning for the most part. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to show you all the buttons. Like you may have seen before, there's like tons of buttons here, and I'm just not going to show them to you because I play tested with some other people who saw all the buttons, and they made this weird wacky planet, and they ran out of resources because they didn't realize that they had to build a certain hexagon type to get resources. So like, okay, well, I gotta make it so the player doesn't like accidentally screw themselves over. So I have different types here, and as you progress through the game and use up different types and stuff like that, then you get access to more different types. So there's like there could be a curve, like a leveling system, where you reach a certain level, then you get a certain button. But I decided not to do that. I decided to make it more trigger based. So like when you do a certain thing, you're gonna get a certain button. Now the triggers in the game right now are pretty simple, but there's gonna be more complex triggers. Like if you do certain things in a certain order, then you get a certain thing. But yeah, the game is going to progress and develop incrementally depending on how you play it. Like after I, like for example here, I put in these stone hexagons, and now I got access to this other tool here, which lets me convert stone hexagons into lava, and then I also got this other hexagon type. So yeah, this game is meant to be incremental and kind of like Subnautica, where you're not really supposed to know what's out there or like how many things are out there and what you've found and not found yet. Like the game's never going to tell you like, oh, you've got all the buttons. It's made to keep you wondering if there's like more things to explore here. Now currently the build is like 12, 15, maybe 20 buttons. I haven't counted them, but there's always going to be more coming. Okay, so then after that, I have to talk about the scheduling system. So in some games, there's like you can craft things and there's a queue. Like 7 Days to Die has this, and HomeQuest has this, where you can like queue up certain buildings and have the house built, and then you can have the log factory built right afterwards without having to like press it. It'll do it automatically. So like, okay, I'll have a queue system in place. And see, you can see that the pods with the what do you call it, blueprints are queued up to be in line. And how I'm doing that is I have a planet for the current situation, and I have a planet that shows the future situation. So I have a planet that basically fast forwards all this queue with, okay, everything's here. So you can work on the planet, give Zone Corners orders based on the future state of the planet. So here you can see that there's no plus sign out here because it has to be connected to the planet. It can't just be floating out in space. So I can't add anything out here. But if I add something here, then now I can add something out there, even though there's nothing here yet. So the planet, every time you add a new command, it fast forwards the current state of the planet so that you can have more options based on what it's going to look like in the future. So that presents some tricky things here because so one thing that HomeQuest has is fast forwarding. So if you close the game and come back to it later, it fast forwards the state of the game from the last state it was in to the state it would be in now if you hadn't closed the game at all. So effectively to the player, it's like the game is running in the background, even if it wasn't. And I wanted that in this game too. And with this queue system here, it's like easy. Okay, well, like how long does this take to make, and how long does other things take to make? You could very easily determine. Okay, so how long would it take to build this planet the way it is? It's like, okay, that's future fast forwarding thing. That's pretty doable. But what I didn't realize was I was opening a can of worms with how I was making the game. So in the regular story Sonocorn game, I was opening a can of worms with time rewinding and going back in time. In this game, I'm opening the opposite can of worms with time fast forwarding and going forward in time. So the queue system it was pretty simple, but the thing is, after I added the Sonocorns, that became rather complicated because, as you see, he doesn't always keep working on the tasks he has. He goes back into his little house here and he sleeps. So the Sonocorns need to rest. They need to eat. They need to do stuff. They're living organisms. So that has an effect on how long it takes each task to be completed and how long it takes for all the tasks to be completed. And on top of that, there are hexagon types like this water here that makes an atmosphere, and it changes the world. And what you can do in the world, because some things you can build require that there be an atmosphere. So like in the future, is that atmosphere going to be there or not? And currently, I'm deciding every frame how much atmosphere gets put into the world and where it gets put in the world. So um, trying to fast forward that is a really tricky process. Um, so right now, I after watching a few videos about like chaos theory and like game of life, where even if you know the starting state, you don't always know the ending state. At the very end, you have to simulate it forward, and you can't just like use an algorithm. Um, you can't just like use a formula to determine what the state of the world's going to be at the end. And I was thinking, okay, well, maybe the way I've set this up, maybe fast forwarding is impossible. Um, and maybe I just have to like always run it in the background, or I have to like have a server running that secretly runs everyone's game in the background and they're not running it themselves. Um, Things like that. I thought about them, and like I haven't put a lot of time into it because I've been working on the game. Like when you have it open, how it simulates and stuff. So as long as you have the game open, it's running. And I think I want fast forwarding in the game, but I don't know how it works. I think it just feel bad if you close the game and you open it back the next day, and it was the exact same state you left it in. It didn't advance at all because there's a lot of waiting in the game, and if you can like not think about the game and still be making progress in the game, that would be great. That's like one thing I still haven't quite figured out yet. That's like the whole can of worms that I opened with this design that I did. Um, but yeah, so that's pretty much how I made the game and why I made the game. And you might think it's not a big deal because there's only one stone accord, but in this game you're going to get lots of stone accords. There's going to be tons of them, and they all have different stats and um, different personalities and stuff. So it's like, how do you fast forward the state? It's going to be very difficult.
So this is just a progress of like the level building portion of what would be essentially when you get your original game, which is like a stone accord with a bunch of abilities to move through the world. That'll be the next phase, right? Or somewhere in the future. Maybe not the next phase because there's a lot more to do, but like that's the intent, right? Is to take the abilities in some instance of your stone accord and be able to bring it into a world like this once it's semi-complete to some portion. Is that right? Or is this an entirely completely different game that will be a little bit different than
This
what you have from before? I guess that's my question. Because I've seen what your game is before, but I'm just kind of curious how they connect.
Yes. So, this is an entirely different game. I was thinking about, okay, I'm going to. I was kind of worried about what order they would be released in because, like, if I release this game first, it might affect how you view the first game. And if I release the first game first, and this game would be like looking back, oh, this is why this is, and that's why this is, and stuff like that. So, um, it's going to be a separate game. But I might, if I release this first, I might be able to use the results of this game, like plans that are made in this game, to inform how I'm going to make the world in Sonocorn, because they're completely two different game genres. Like Sonocorn's a Metroidvania platformer where I design the levels like where I hand design all the levels, and this is a idle incremental game. I'm not sure what to call it yet, but it's a completely different game, and you also it's also kind of hand making the levels because of like you can choose where the pods go and stuff, but like it's simulation. Um, and like with all, if I determine what the mechanics of every hexagon is, and what the pod types do, then I can use that to figure out how I'm going to make the world stone accord, like a little bit. So I might use information I gathered from this game in my first game. But they are two separate projects, yes.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, it it's very fascinating to see this. It reminds me of this game. I think it was just called Hexagon, but it was basically kind of like a chess play game. It was like a hexagon grid like this, but basically you would try to take over the entire board either as a droplet gem or a hexagon gem. And
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about? It's like a little
I think I've heard of that one.
A little PC game. They might have it like on Congregate or something like that. But that's what this kind of reminds me of, and it was kind of neat, like, because it was progressive too in a sense, like it was turn-based, I guess. So a little bit different. Um, yeah, if I find it, I'll post it. But it was one of my favorite like little toy games they had on uh, computer. You would just download or get off a website. But yeah, oh that's cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, this is a big planet that took a long time. I had to wait a long time for this one to be built. I mean, I do have some cheats that speed things up, but I didn't use cheats to speed this one up. But I wanted to. Um, the game's a bit slow when I have all these hexagons. It's have to optimize a bit. But you can see that like each individual stone card looks different, and they each have a different name that is like randomly generated. Um,
Oh, cool. So is the goal to like get as far as you can with the amount of resources you have, or is there like you said this would be multiplayer, right? Or the intent to be multiplayer?
oh, so it was based on a multiplayer idea, but this game is not multiplayer; it's
Okay.
single player. But there are going to be multiple stone coins, but you basically control all of them.
Okay. And then is it just to keep growing and growing and growing, or is there like you hit your limit and then that's as far as you can get? Or is it just like a
Um,
sandbox where you're kind of like just
yeah,
kind of
currently it's
playing?
kind of sandboxy, and you're trying to find out like just keep going and going. But there is going to be like an actual goal in the game that can be achieved that could be considered the end of the game, even though you could play past it.
Yeah.
But it's not in the game yet.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Make the face of Mona Lisa, right? With these hex grids.
You could draw it. You're right.
Yes, you could do that.
So that'd be kind of fun. Oh, and that's the other thing too. For those of you that are in the chats, there's the download link. Either during the stream or whatnot, if you have the chance to download this and start playing with it. I mean, obviously you could tell it takes a little bit of time, but if you ever have a build that you want to showcase, take a screenshot of that and post it in Discord, or if you have the means to get a link and post it in YouTube, that would be cool. Like, because we were doing this during prototype and play with an earlier build, and I think like at least Caleb and I were in there sharing our different designs and whatnot. It was kind of cool. It's definitely changed a lot since the last time I saw it.
Yeah, I
So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
this is what Caleb did.
yeah,
Like a lot of people just go all the way to the end to see how far they can get, and I try to figure out whether or not that I should allow that, whether I should embrace it. Um, but that's still currently something you can do. And then you have this really cool. This looks like some company's logo or something. Like this looks
oh
really
yeah.
cool. It has this very interesting symmetry to it.
It's got kind of like
Um,
almost like a DNA strand vibes to it, or some kind of like molecule vibe. I feel like this would be the
it really does.
evil lab corporate logo with the lava.
Made of lava. Yeah, exactly.
So is the center that
So
looks? Sorry, go ahead.
I was about to ask, does anybody play the game during the presentation? Did they have a screenshot they want to share of the planet they built so far?
I'll share mine after this. I'm playing it right now. If you look at my camera, I'm playing it right now.
I would, but I'm streaming, so
Yeah,
little
don't
hesitant.
risk it. Don't
Well,
risk it.
yeah, I would hate for it to crash and uh but yeah, so my question was, so the honeycomb like symbol that starts at the origin, is that like the resource center? Or is that like, I know that's where the Sodacorn character kind of sleeps at certain points, but or is it like the nuclear core of a planet? What does it represent, I guess? 'Cause
Um, yes. So, um, that is the core of the planet because everything gets built around it. So, um, Yeah, so you build a planet around it, so it becomes the core of the planet. And in the planets that I build, it always becomes surrounded by lava, but that's not a requirement.
But can you have multiple? I see that you can actually build multiple of those cores. Does that give you um, multiple characters helping you build the world?
It does, yes.
Okay, all right,
So if you build the core, it gives you a larger resource cap, and it gives you another stone core too.
gotcha. I can't I can't get my Stony Cord to build another. I have him planned to build like 4 or 5 more, but he won't build one.
I know. He,
So
he
I
basically he just does whatever he feels like.
Pretty much, I see that.
so
It's
you
a lot of fun.
basically have a bunch of these like Stonocorn characters sitting on the top of the ground realm. Is that like an expensive resource? Is those like is that I mean obviously it looks like undergrid, that's probably something that you would get later in the game. Um, but like those ones that are kind of set in a hut, is that like the ultimate tile to get because it might be one of the more resource heavy? Because that's kind of what you were showing, right? Like in the game that you were inspired by was like you start getting these like small little buildings and then they turn into large armies, which is what's kind of neat is you get this massive
Uh,
conglomerate thing.
yeah, so this is just the start. Like you can build a house, and then later you can build larger buildings and factories and stuff. I haven't done all that stuff yet, but that's what I'm planning for the future. So yeah, so currently
Nice.
the house is the most expensive thing, and the Sotocorns, they don't like sleeping in these cores. I mean, they can, but they prefer to sleep in houses. So you build a house, and they stop sleeping in the cores to start sleeping in the houses.
Cool.
Now, currently, all these guys are just sitting in the house because there's nothing to do. In this version, in this file I have open, there are no commands for them to do. So,
But they will
um,
eventually, like you have plans to move it through. Oh, I'll switch over to Scott real
uh,
quick. While he's showcasing his build.
Oh,
Did you call it Macbar?
I don't know where that came from.
they are randomly generated names.
Oh,
Okay, all right.
okay. I was like, it probably is on a Mac, but I didn't know if that was intentional. So
Oh, here, I'll zoom.
what is the magnifying symbol or lollipop symbol represent? I assume a magnifying glass, but that's just my thought.
Well, so that is it is a magnifying glass, and it's used to zoom into the world.
Oh,
And
okay.
if you I'm not sure what buttons you have, Scott, but if you have the blue single dot button, press the magnifying glass button, and then click on one of the stone corns.
Yeah, it was. I was doing that before. It's pretty cool. It follows the Stony Corn around, which that's great.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, he's building one of the hubs. Come on, keep going, keep going, keep going.
Yeah, it'd be neat to have like that's the hard thing. It does represent like based on how far it's moving. But it'd be neat to see something that you could be like, hey, here's a menu that says here's all of the stonocorns you have. Here's how much lava you have. It'd be neat to see it like almost like a percentage, so you can like almost uh theme worlds a certain way or just get an identity like this is a lava world versus this is a rock world versus this is a
That'd be
homeland because
cool.
there's like I don't know 30% stonocorns, which might be a significant amount of tiles to have as stonocorns. Um, I don't know, I'm just thinking of ideas. Like there's a lot you can do with this. It's kind of neat that you took so much effort to find like all these different incremental like this is really cool. This is very unique. And I'm really interested what you'll evolve it to later. It sounds like you're still moving through some of the designs of it too, and just going
Uh,
through different phases.
yes, that is definitely one thing I wanted to do is have the option for people to make different kinds of planets. Like you could make a Venus planet where it's like all lava, and like different options just show up. If you chose that route, then it would show you different options, like different buttons you could press that would give you different um, things you could do with a lava planet versus stuff you could do with a Earth-like planet. And as time goes on, if you build a certain planet and it's good enough at what it's supposed to do, then you're going to get access to more planets. So you can like build an entire solar system of planets and have them interact with each other.
That'll be cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that idea. Almost reminds me of like Katamari or they have like a universe simulator, which is really kind of neat. But these by themselves, just so unique. Like it's just really fascinating, just to see it build.
Yeah, like half my time in development now is just sitting watching them build stuff.
Oh, so that reminds me. I mean, you probably had a lot of this at the beginning of the build, but are there debugging indicators that allow you to know that it's building appropriately at this point? Um, because there's got to be a point where like maybe it wasn't building in the spot that you wanted or isn't landing and orienting itself. Like, I assume you have like parameters to kind of indicate that. Like,
Are you talking about like debugging the grid system?
yeah.
So yes, I can show you some of the things that I was doing for that. So
Oh, switching over.
So yeah, there's a whole bunch of bugs. Oh, I forgot to tell you about the most interesting bug. Basically, I had this script here that
See,
I could move it around.
That's speaking like a true game developer. Let me tell you about the most interesting bug. So if you don't start off with that out, you're not going further enough. You're not getting far enough in game development. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Right. But yeah, I had this rotate test script that I used. I forget how to use it now because it's been so long since I used it. But it was to figure out like what rotations the grid bases were and stuff because all these grids they rotate the actual sprite and the whole object depending on which part of the grid they're in. But the most interesting bug is this. I have it up on Twitter here. So this day that I found this bug, I was so frustrated. I was trying to convert the grid system to the hexagon system and so forth, like I explained in the resources, and I spent 5 hours trying to figure out why it was giving me this and not this. So what it turns out is that let's see, where did I put that file at? Okay, here it is. So here's code that I had. So basically, it's 3 times hex position times x divided by 2. So whatever the hex position is, and times it by 3/2, right? So you think that would give you the right results, but the thing is, because 3/2 is 1.5. But the thing I didn't realize was that this is an integer, and this is an integer, and this is an integer. So if you multiply 2 integers together in C#, there's always going to be an integer. If you divide 2 integers together, then it's also going to be an integer. So 3/2 is 1.5. To an integer becomes 1. So if everything that's supposed to have a decimal place does not, then you get this. So it took me 5 hours to realize that I had to do 3.0f over 2.0f, and I had to explicitly tell the compiler that, hey, these are actually floats. Because then when you do a float times an integer, you get a float, and then you do a float over an if you do an integer divided by a float, then you get a float. So that's like the most interesting bug, and I took a screenshot of it because it just looks so cool. And then after I fixed the bug, it went back to doing this kind of thing, which is like, nice. That's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
But there's some bugs that is like, this bug is so interesting, I might just keep it. And then I was like, oh, actually, wait, it breaks the game a bit. I have to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in terms of computer reasons, it's doing what it needs to. But yeah, it's like when you want to start placing stuff, and there's some spacing things that seems to be kind of exponentially changing. So yeah, it I can see an issue, but it's kind of neat. It's almost like seeing math in a visual sense. It's kind of cool. So, but yeah, this is really neat. I mean, the other thing too is your resources are pretty high up there too. So, um, but
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. I still have to optimize it. But hey, at least it's not recreating all the game objects anymore.
that's true. Yeah, I need to play it when I'm not streaming, obviously, but like, because I remember there's a couple times where it got pretty slow about halfway through the experience. But it definitely looks like, especially watching Scott play it a bit more, is definitely like getting more polished. So, but yeah, this is really cool. Um, yeah, I think this is a pretty good tapering off point. Scott, did you see any other questions that I'm not aware of? Any
I
screenshots for
No, I do
folks?
not, but I bet we can talk more about this in Discord.
Yeah, but yeah, any other tidbits you wanted to note, Shield, before we move out for today?
I think I covered all the tidbits I wanted to do. Thanks for reminding me about that bug. I really wanted to talk about that bug.
Yeah, yeah. It's really cool. Yeah, and if you are interested in following Shield, he's got a Twitter page. I've got him on my page too, and yeah, right there. So just Shield GNRTR7. Um, he does pretty frequent updates. So if you want to follow along and see how these are going, he does pretty good updates. I kind of watch it every couple of days. He'll post something like, "Oh, hey, that's cool. That's something different." So yeah, you want to keep up with his progress. You can definitely kind of follow along. But yeah, just want to thank you for showing this off. This really neat, unique gameplay. So interested to see how that turns out. And yeah, I think if nothing else, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. And then if you're playing this right now and waiting for the resources to go up, and you can do a screenshot and post it in our Discord. Um, that'd be great feedback for Shield, but also cool to see what you're making. And yeah, we'll kind of move it from there. So, um, cool. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and sign you off if that's okay.
All right,
Shield.
thanks for having me. I'll see you guys later.
Yep.
Thank you so
So
much, Shield.
cool. All right. So that'll kind of wrap up for today's GameDev Meetup group. Thanks everybody for coming out. We appreciate everybody kind of chiming in to see us and talk to us. So we're gonna go ahead and move into the last portion of our events. We're gonna shut down YouTube here in a sec, but mainly just join us in Discord. So we've got our link up there in the chat. So if you want to join us, we've got a voice channel called General. So like Scott and I will be there for a little bit, and if you want to just kind of catch up, talk about the question of the day, and see how things are going. And if this is a good place for you to, if we got our presenters in there to kind of talk and chat with you, they'll be there. But mainly it's just kind of hang out and get to know one another and catch up with folks. And then if nothing else, we'll tailor it off. We'll be here till 4, maybe a little bit early if people kind of chime off. We'll just see how it goes. But if nothing else, enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day weekend, and we'll see you guys and gals in the next event, which is June 11th for the prototype and play at 6 to 9 p.m. and have fun there. So thanks everybody for coming out. We'll catch you all later. If nothing else, have a great Memorial weekend. So
Thanks.
thanks everybody.
Have a great weekend.
We'll
See you
see
everybody
ya.
later.